Within Mashle, there are a group of powers which stand above others and are shrouded in mystery, marking characters as those who stand above and apart from the rest of the people which cover this land. These are powers which have yet to have their full capacity expanded upon, they have little to no origins explained and have the potential for being huge features later on in the story, opening up pathways in progression for our characters to go down, or they could end up as one-off gimmicks which never get brought up again. The first of which I would like to speak about is Irakroitz, the ability thus far only shown to be possessed by Dot. This ability manifests in people seemingly at random, and when they reach an emotional breaking point, they gain a huge burst in power and are said to become battle demons. It is said that their power is unleashed, but it is not stated if this is just their own innate power which is kept locked inside them, or if this feature actually makes their magic innately stronger than others. Thus far it has shown to allow Dot, a single liner, to quite easily overpower a double liner who was previously putting him on the back foot. When the mark activated, he demonstrated both a more powerful version of his regular exploding fireball spell and a shift in personality, acting far calmer and more refined than his usual self. This ability seems remarkably similar to a typical power of friendship power-up. However, the way it is described as being when a person's emotions reach a certain point, so it doesn't require that Dot be defending his friend for the ability to work. He could be depressed, sad, happy, or any other emotion which elicits a powerful emotional response from him. This brings with it the potential of both limiting his emotional capacity, as when he reaches that peak his personality will shift to a more battle-hungry position. It could also mean that Dot is completely incapable of using his full power without something causing him emotional distress, which has the potential of weighing on his conscious knowing that he is unable to prevent the damage, only help with the clear-up afterwards. Or it could just be used for comedy, with Dot ending battle mode whenever something that causes him to become incredibly happy and result in him exploding something at random for no reason until he returns to normal. Either way, it marks Dot as something different from the rest of the cast we have been introduced to as far. Single and double lines are common and uncommon in this series, with having double lines being considered something worthy of praise. However, there is at least one rank above this, those who possess triple lines. Thus far the only one revealed is Rain. What it takes to acquire a third line is unknown, as a second line is considered a mark of talent and inborn ability, said by Wahlberg to be recognized by magic itself, while a third liner is recognized by the gods. What we do know is that lines correspond to the overall magic power one possesses, but no way of determining how much magic is required to gain another mark is explained to us, or if marks are possible gained by training. It seems that, like those who are chosen by the Master Canes, those who come into possession of a third line are those individuals which are recognized by something greater. A god perhaps, or whatever fundamental force exists within the Mashle universe. But the most interesting thing about those who possess a third line is that they have an ability which seems to align itself with the Master Canes, the ability to awaken a one's Latin power, the power of the gods themselves, causing the form to change to that of a more fitting form for the god of which it is channeling the power of, allowing for a greater use of their own magic and potentially the use of previously unavailable magics, things such as black magic. Either way, we can clearly see during the short scuffle between Rain and Margaret that the amount of magical power one can out as a third liner is completely incomparable to either of the two lower tiers, able to output pure magical force strong enough to blow back attacks and people. As stated before, those with a third line can awaken their one's true form by tapping into the power of the gods which dwells within it, or so we are told by probably one of the most knowledge people in the series. What this actually means is unclear, as the only person we have seen thus far to be capable of doing so is Rain, and he called upon the power of Ares, the god of war. The fact that it is stated to be Ares' power which dwells within the wand, however, does imply that there is many different gods which power can potentially be invoked by people depending on what kind of wand they have, or perhaps it is linked to their own affinity. Either way, wand awakenings cause the wand's form to change. The form, however, could be linked to what kind of god they are invoking. In the case of a war god, it becomes a weapon, but in the case of a god of agriculture it could end up as a hand scythe, displaying entirely different abilities. If magic is a blessing from the gods, those that do not have magic are purged like a disease, so therefore those who destroy, steal or otherwise impede magic must be viewed as the work of the devil, the greatest evil which exists within the religious world of Mashle. The evil eye, an eye of unexplained origins which appears on people at random and can cause those they gaze upon to temporarily lose the ability to use magic. Those who possess this eye are treated no better or perhaps worse than those born without magic. It would not surprise me if in ages past, those with the evil eye were perhaps not common but certainly more of a recognized group. For them to be a common story of them, that would seem logical, wouldn't it? So, what happened to them? I would assume they were whipped out just like those who were born without magic are whipped from the world. It really would not surprise me if in the ancient past there was a war between those with and without magic, and those with the evil eye being on the side of those without magic. The extent of the evil eye's power have not been explored in depth, as is the case with a lot of things in Mashle. But you could make the educated guess that depending on the user, their experience, or their affinity for it, the strength of its magic-stopping abilities would be different. Ranging from only a momentary pause up until perhaps permanent magical, that would certainly make them something which would see the magical people of this world up in arms about the danger they pose to their way of life. Another point is, what would happen if two evil eye possessors looked at one another? Would they cancel each other out, or is the evil eye not considered to be magic, and if the evil eye is removed from a person's body, will the ability remain or not? If so, I could see them being used as a powerful weapon against magic users. As for the origins of the evil, that is a matter of speculation. Could it have been created by a devil-like entity which is in direct opposition to the gods, or perhaps a rouge deity created it to challenge the other gods? Or maybe it's just the work of some kind of magical curse. There is no way to say for certain, and something are better left unknown, otherwise all this stuff might just take the focus away from what is really important in the series, and that's watching how Mash manages to get himself out of his next. Master Canes are 13 magic wands which have a sort of sentience which allows them to determine who may wield them and presumably seek them out, granting them additional abilities which are beyond the scope of what is considered normal by the mages in the Mashle world. The only Master Cane we have seen confirmed thus far in the series is the one used by Carpaccio, which leaves 12 others unaccounted for, although there is a theory within the community that Mash's Iron Wand might also be one of these powerful magical artifacts, but that has yet to be confirmed. What we do know is that these wands grant unto their users blessings from the gods which presumably created them. It is uncertain if these wands all have different blessings or if they have a standardized set of powers, but what has been shown so far is the ability to transfer damage done to oneself to another target, returning the user to an undamaged state. This appears to be the most basic ability Carpaccio's wand possess. Beyond this, it can manifest a stone statue of what he calls a goddess. It's never stated if this is any goddess in particular, but it possesses the ability to both defend and attack at the same time, using giant injection needles to strike out at the enemy and defend by taking on the damage which the wielder would have taken before it is transferred to the target. There is however a physical limit to the amount of damage which can be processed at any one time, as when that limit is exceeded the statue can be damaged or destroyed. It's not known what happens once the statue is destroyed, other than the blessing appearing to be revoked. It is not known if the statue will recover with time, or if the wand will move on to a new host, or if it is permanently depowered, the latter of which seems the least likely given how legendary these wands are supposed to be. As mentioned before, third liners can awaken their wands to tap into the true power of the god, which dwells within it. The fact that these awakened wands have unique forms, have a strong connection to the gods, and presumably allow for a greater amount of power or unique powers to be displayed, then the 13 Master Canes could potentially be 13 wands which are in a permanently awakened state regardless of the user's own strength. This would explain their similarities and the fact that the description of the power of both calls upon the god's strength. It is also entirely possible that the strength of the blessing grows the more at risk the user is, as it was only after Carpaccio had been put at risk of being injured that the statue took on a move advanced form and began its own counter-attack on Mash directly. Why, however, there would only be 13 ones, as there are presumable several times that many gods in existence within this world, is something which can only be theorized upon. Maybe the 13 original wielders of these wands had some special connection to the gods, maybe they were the enemies of the gods who stole their power. At this point it is all just wild speculation. Well, that's all I wanted to say in this video. I've been the Anonymous Weeb and this has been my talk about the mysterious powers which dwell within the Mashle world which have yet to be explored in detail. Feel free to like the video if you liked the video, dislike the video if you disliked the video, subscribe, and ring the notification bell if you want to hear more of my ramblings, and I wish you a good day or night wherever you are.